Hi everyone and welcome to today. Today we have the most amazing and fabulous Tash Corbin. Tash Corbin, she is a business mentor who specialises in helping heart-centered business women and people to build sustainable and profitable businesses online. Now, she started her business back in 2013 and has supported thousands of people to build their audiences and make more sales. She also hosts the amazing and wonderful Heart Centered Conference that is both virtual, so you could do it online, or up at Noosa, Queensland here. Okay, so Tash, thank you so much for coming. It's so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
I will just be very clear that I know Tash, and so I'm talking to someone who I know as well. So, Tash, would you like to share anything with us at the moment?
Just thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I reckon in a few years' time, I'm going to be saying I was one of the early guests on Roslyn's podcast, and that excites me so much.
And I will still be playing it, so don't you worry about that.
Gorgeous.
Now, the reason why I brought Tash here is not, I mean, she is the most phenomenal business support person you could ever have. She is an amazing coach and an amazing mentor. But no, not me. I bring Tash here simply because of a progress art colouring book. Now, Tash and I started this together. She may not remember back in 2017.
Yep.
2017. I think it was probably 2018 when I had a little 2-year-old and she's drawing everywhere. And not being an artist myself, I told her about this at the ripe age of 2, and she went, "Get it." And I went, "Okay." So I went, "Look, I don't know
Okay.
anything about colouring in. I have to say it's not my strong point. Um, Probably, well, no, I could colour in, but actual creating art and doing the progress art can be a little bit tricky. So I would love to know how you connected these two together. How did you go track your money through art? Because I would, mind blown.
Yeah, so the birth of the coloring book actually also has like a little origin story as well. So the term progress art is actually a term that I coined for any kind of artwork that is tracking your progress towards a goal. And I came up with that concept in 2015 because adult coloring books were getting like all of this traction.
Right.
But for me, the big problem or challenge that I had was like, I don't actually love coloring in, right? That always surprises people because I have 2 coloring in books, but I don't actually just love coloring just for coloring in sake, right? Like, does not appeal to me. I definitely do it with little kids if I'm hanging out with kids because, I'm everyone's fun auntie.
Yeah.
But for me, one of the things I really struggled to do consistently was track my income. And I did a lot of money mindset courses and read books. And one of the most consistent things that I saw as advice for bringing in more money, manifesting more money, whatever you want to manifest, will track what's coming in. And so I noticed that over the course of a year, I would track my income daily for like 3 weeks and then I'd stop for 4 weeks and then I'd track it again. And just like it's a 5-minute thing of just write down how much money you brought in today, see how it feels.
Yeah.
And so I had a goal to make 100K in 100 days.
Yes.
And I knew that tracking my income every day, I wanted that to be a really core fundamental part of that process because I could tell that there was some mindset stuff for me about increasing my income like that I needed to address, but I'm very good at skirting around the issues. Like I can talk myself around in anything. Talk therapy and counseling doesn't often work well for me
Yep.
because I'm very good at over explaining myself and I can justify and logic my way through anything. So I thought if I had something where it was 100K in 100 days and I had like each little heart on an artwork was worth $100. And so every day I could track my income, color my way towards it, and I would see this artwork kind of unfold. So it would keep me wanting to do it every day. But the big thing for me as well was if I missed a day, it made me go and catch it up instead of just starting over. And so that's where Progress Art was actually born. And then I started encouraging my mastermind clients to do it. And then the coloring book came out in 2017. And then I did a new coloring book in 2021. And so, yeah, it's kind of really taken off. But it was just me wanting to track my income every day because I knew it would reveal some amazing insights, and it did.
Yes, and honestly, it's a fabulous, fabulous tool. I will be honest, in the way I track my income is I color in one of those goal thermometers that you get
Yes,
from, yes,
yes,
that's me,
yeah.
I color that in. So I had never tried this before, and I keep trying. This is
Yes.
I will give A for effort for me for this, but my daughter, who now has her own bank account, Tash,
Good.
loves it. And for her, this makes so much more sense than
Yep.
mummy's spreadsheet and
Yeah.
thermometer.
Yes.
God
Yep.
bless mummy. No.
Yes. And
And
look,
just
at the end of
the
the
tools are
day, like
amazing.
that's part of the reason why I ended up doing the coloring book was because I realized that I kept that progress art practice a little bit behind closed doors because it felt a bit childish.
Yeah.
I'm neurodivergent and I have object permanence. So if I don't see something, it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And so for some people, using a spreadsheet, tracking their income every day, it absolutely works for them because they're not neurodivergent like me, or they don't have that brand of executive dysfunction. And so what I recognized and like I really wanted to get over was this sense of like, well, if you don't do it on fancy spreadsheets, then it's not very professional or it's childish. But at the end of the day, if it helps me make more money, like why wouldn't I do it? And
Exactly.
I'm in my office right now. I'm looking at my walls and it's covered in different progress artworks. Like I do giant ones on canvases
Yes.
that for my big goals, right? I'm surrounded by these artworks that are technically worth millions of dollars. Right? I've got one over there that's 250,000. I know that one is 333,000 between the three. That's my first 100,000 after I had my surgery, right? And so when I see this artwork, like number one, it makes me feel so abundant, and that mindset and that energy of abundance and achievement and look at how much money I've brought in, like it just snowballs that feeling.
And what a
But
beautiful way to
also,
capture it.
yeah,
Like, because then it is always with you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you never have to. I don't know what happens with spreadsheets for most people, but I just file them in a folder, put them in my hard drive, and then ta-da, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what I have done, thanks to Tash, is I went into Canva and did my goal thermometer, and I put a snazzy background on the back of it. Da da da. So I will
Yeah.
have something that I can go, no, actually, I'll take a photo of it or something and do something
Yeah.
with it. And
Beautiful.
just to show, like Tash does allow people to go, okay, and this is how I'm going to track, and this is how it can match into my artwork.
Yeah.
So that is really helpful and really amazing. And I just love these books. I love the idea of them. I love the fact that however you show up in the world is how you need to deal with your money.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
have a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to do it this way. No, I'm like, no, no, no. Who knows who you are? Who knows? It's going to be exciting and wonderful to find out. Let's have a look. And that's what I always loved about working with you is that you never went, well, Ros, you have to be this way to be
Mm.
able to do a business. You need to be this way to be able to track your money. And the progress art just made my heart sing. So that is why we're here. And so now you've spoken about a couple of big goals that you've had, and how has tracking your money helped you? Like they're big goals, Tash,
Yeah.
and you've got them hanging on your wall. So that's amazing.
So the tracking itself has helped because it shows me where my upper limit is for how much money I can earn, but also how much money I can keep.
Yeah.
So the first 100K in 100 days goal that I set, I didn't get it in 100 days, by the way. It took me like 170 days or something to get there, but like it was
Did it
definitely
matter?
still an increase in my income,
Yeah.
right? And so in that first one, there were two times in particular where I had to catch up a bit of tracking because I'd stopped tracking. And I assumed that the days I didn't do my income tracking were mostly just because there was no money coming in or it was low. And so it was a bit depressing to do it. So I'll just do it later.
Yep.
But actually, the two times where I stopped for more than a week, I had a huge income day the day before. I had an $11,000 day, and it was my first ever 5-figure day. And I tracked it that day and did all the coloring in. But I noticed that I felt uncomfortable, right? Like my mind, and there was a lot of coloring in to do. And I was like, oh man, I regret this. Why do I regret this? I'm coloring in at $11,000, right? But then as soon as I'd finished tracking the income, I went and prepaid my mortgage by 3 months. And I went and prepaid some bills and all this sort of stuff. And then the next morning, my bank account was drained. We got our card skimmed. And it was so interesting to me that it took me probably 2 or 3 weeks to start tracking my income again after that incident.
Yep.
But in tracking my income again, I actually noticed several like really deep insights for me. Number one, I had an upper limit of how much I felt comfortable bringing in each day. And that I'd blown over that upper limit. But also my bank account was drained, but they only got $3,500 because I was so uncomfortable with that money. I had to push it away. I had to move it and make it do something. Now, I'm not saying paying your mortgage 3 months in advance is a bad decision, but I didn't do it from a strategic decision perspective. I did it because I needed the money gone.
Yes.
I was so uncomfortable with having excess. It felt unfair. And so it uncovered all of these thoughts and all of these patterns and all of these processes. And it revealed so much for me. And then I used different mindset tools, and I love using emotional freedom technique, tapping. I worked with a kinesiologist. I was like, right, I don't just have an upper limit about how much money I can earn. I also have an upper limit about how much money I'm allowed to have in excess. And I don't want that to be my experience. And I can, number one, sometimes just seeing it and identifying it is enough. But number two, for me, there were some things underneath that like it's not fair, or if I'm earning lots, then someone else is missing out, or I'm not good at managing money, so I shouldn't have a lot of it in my account. So I was able to actually come up with strategies to prove to myself I am good at managing money. I can have excess. And I was also able to work on the mindset piece as well. So it was actually through money tracking that I identified I wanted to work with someone on better financial practices in my business. Instead of as soon as money comes in, it gets divvied out and spent, I started using the profit first system. Instead of just like however much is in my account, and then I don't like have any plans for it. I made plans. If I get to the point where I have more than this in excess in my account, I'm going to put it into investments. And, so all of those decisions were actually strategies to address what was revealed from that incident. And if I hadn't been tracking my money every day, I would have said it was a one-off, and I wouldn't have seen the pattern, because I had actually stopped tracking previously when I'd had a high income day. And also I'd had my bank account drained earlier, and I didn't notice because I was living in Bali and I got a payment in of $700, but I kept that account pretty empty. So the payment came in, and then the money was drained that night, and I didn't even notice. And so it just highlighted, pay attention to your money, be a good custodian of your money, manage your money well. And so I was able to create strategies of how I'm going to do that. And also, how am I going to release this belief that that's not possible for me, or I'm not good at those things, and instead collect evidence that I can be good at those things. It's a skill.
I always, no matter how much people have coming in, having that healthy relationship with your money to begin with, absolutely key. And I have a lot of discussions with people about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so,
I mean, this is your zone, right? Like,
that's right. This is where I am. So when you sort of go, I'm going to track my money, and you had these wonderful ideas, when exactly did you go, okay, I think I could maybe do more coloring in and make a book? Like, when did that all come together for you?
Yeah, so it was actually just my audience asked me to. So up until the first coloring book in 2017, I was just sharing a little bit here and there, particularly with my students. I would share like little updates on my progress art, and I would encourage other people to go and get a canvas and make a progress art and all that kind of stuff. And quite a few people would say to me like, oh, but you're so creative and you're so artistic and you're good at drawing these things. I don't think I'd be very good at it. Mine doesn't look as good as yours. Can you just sell me one, right? Can you get them printed and sell them to me? And I had stumbled across in my community an artist who did artworks that weren't progress artworks, but they could be turned into progress artworks.
Yep.
And so the first coloring book, I actually partnered with her, and I gave her a list of like, I want one that's 180 leaves. I want one that's this many hearts, right? And so I just gave her all the instructions and she did the drawings for me. And then the second book, I actually was recovering from a surgery, and one of the only things I could do was draw. I was on the couch, I was a bit unwell. And so I sat and did more little artworks with the intention of turning it into the second book. And that's where the second book came from. So it really was just people asked me for it. And I just love like those kinds of creative projects as well. It was such a fun way to share it with the world and have people use it for lots of different things. Like now people use it to track their habits of how much water they've drunk or how many days they went on a walk or whatever it might be. And so, yeah, it's really got a little bit of a life of its own, which is really cool.
And have you had many stories from people who have used your colouring in progress art and gone, I can't believe this happened, Tash? Do you
Yes.
have anything you can share about what people have done?
Yeah, so I have a really recent one actually. So I have someone who I do some work with, and she was wanting to like do something a little bit stretchy. And she's very good with money. She makes, fairly consistent income. And so we were just having a conversation one day, and I was like, you should make a progress art to make $10,000 by the end of the year. And she had a little canvas that she had intended to do something with it ages ago, but never had. And now she'd got it back when she'd moved back to Australia. And so she's like, okay, I've got the canvas. I'm just going to do it. And every time I checked in with her, because like we would catch up quite regularly, I'd be like, so how's your progress art going? And she's like, you won't believe this, right? And the first few weeks, she was like, you won't believe this. Like, I still have no idea how I'm going to make in $10,000. It would normally be like 4,000 for that period of time.
Yep.
I have no idea how this is going to happen, but you won't believe this. I've just had this money come in. You won't believe this. I have just had this happen. And so she ended up like exceeding her goal within like a few weeks. And then she actually sent me a message and said, what do I do now? Like, I've actually hit it, but I've still got 5 weeks left in the year. And I said, let's just see how much you can make. And so she ended up adding little extra elements to the side of the canvas, and she almost doubled it in that time. And she said to me, it's so fascinating because one of the things that happened was when I made the artwork itself, I spent so long saying why this isn't going to work. I have no idea how to make this work. Oh my gosh, like this is so silly. I'm going to be so disappointed. And then just a little tipping point happened where she's like, why not? Why couldn't it work? I can make this work. And she said it was just the fact that it existed and she was seeing it that she noticed how consistently she was being quite mean to herself and quite dismissive of this goal. So is that actually how I want to show up for myself and show up for my goals and my money? No. And so it wasn't necessarily that there was like a huge like mindset revolution or anything like that, or that she had to work with a practitioner or anything like that. It was literally just one day the switch flipped and she decided, why not?
Yep.
I'm not going to achieve it if I keep telling myself I can't. So it's time to start telling myself I can and start looking for ways how. And so that's how it all unfolded. It was so gorgeous. Yeah.
Ever had anyone go, Tash, I started one colouring page and I had to go to another colouring page?
Yes, that does happen quite a lot.
Yeah.
So one thing that I do say to people is if you hit your goal early, don't change the goal, just keep tracking. Yep. So we don't move the goalpost because that can often be a pattern that we have, that it's never enough. And so you achieve your goal and then you're like, well, now I have to achieve more, instead of allowing yourself to overachieve. A lot of people who are drawn to having their own business and to this work are overachievers, but they actually rob themselves of the opportunity to overachieve a lot because they keep moving the goalposts on themselves and they keep making it needs to be bigger. It needs, well, clearly I didn't set the goal big enough, so it has to be bigger and I have to go harder and I have to do all these extra things. And so I say to people, don't change the goal, just keep tracking and see how much over the goal you can do. And so either add extra little elements in. So some people will just draw extra elements around the edges of the artwork. That's why there's space. Or move on to the next artwork and see if you can fill in too, right? Or see how far into the next one you can get. And so, yeah, that does happen quite a lot for people. And also in the coloring book, it's 30 or 31 days on the tracking sheet. So sometimes people will set their goal for a longer period of time and they'll do 3 in a row. They'll do like a 90-day goal because they might have more fluctuations in their income. So it might come in sort of big bursts rather than being a very consistent income amount. Yeah.
Yep. And so you said with your first goal, 100,000, you didn't quite make it in the 100 days.
I didn't, no.
How did you talk to yourself through that? Like, how did you go, okay, I set a goal? Because someone said to me, do you have trouble when you set goals and don't make them? And for me, no, I don't take that personally. So I probably got somewhere and I can keep going. But what do you tell people who go, I didn't get to colour everything in?
So it's probably the number one reason why people don't set or commit to goals is they are worried or afraid that they're not going to achieve it, and they don't want to expose themselves to that disappointment. And I will say that I acknowledge that at setting a goal and not achieving it, it is uncomfortable. It is a discomfort. But also, consistently trying to grow your income and not seeing that growth is also a discomfort. Looking back a year from now and realizing you made less this year than you did last year, that's also a discomfort. And so I choose to embrace the discomfort of setting stretchy goals that I might not achieve, because in doing so, I always uncover new mindset insights, new ways I can expand my capacity to receive, new ways that I might be sneakily kind of holding myself back. And I'd rather deal with the discomfort of not achieving the goal than deal with the discomfort of looking back 5 years from now and realizing I never set a goal. I never worked with intention towards something. I just kept running on the treadmill. I don't want to do that. I do have big ambitions for what I want to achieve in life and what I want my money to be able to do, and the causes and the things I want to invest in to contribute to. And so I'd rather deal with the discomfort of setting a goal and maybe not getting there, and then that also revealing insights, than deal with the discomfort of having avoided goals my whole life and lived my life by default instead of design.
Yes.
And the final thing I will say to that is that if you set a goal and you don't achieve it, and then you start beating yourself up or getting really upset about the fact that you didn't achieve your goal, it wasn't setting the goal that caused that feeling, right? It wasn't setting the goal that caused that feeling. It was the way that you respond to your result that actually is that feeling. Yes. You can set a goal, not achieve the goal, and not beat yourself up. But sometimes people need to set a goal, not achieve it, get depressed, get cranky with themselves, and then interrogate, why am I so upset by this? Why did I get so angry at myself? What was I saying about myself? And it's actually in not achieving your goal and interrogating those things that you are far more likely to achieve your goal next time. And I actually do have a podcast episode where I shared, like, I had resistance to setting income goals and tracking to income goals, but I knew from evidence from my peers, from my mentors, from the money work that I'd been doing, I knew that it was a key through the door. right? Instead of not going there, and instead of just going, I don't want it, I don't want to feel depressed, or I don't want to be disappointed, I knew going through that disappointment was actually the key to being able to set goals and feel confident that I can achieve them. And so I knew it was important enough for me to set the goals, write the goals down consistently, connect to the goals consistently, and track my way towards them, that instead of saying, oh, should I set goals or not? I said, I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to find a way to track every day that I cannot ignore. And so giant artworks is what the result of that was. And I'm so grateful to my past self that instead of like, oh, I don't want to, I found that way through. I found a way to make it work for me, because I'd done the tracking on spreadsheets, I'd done the tracking on apps, but I would just forget about it. And then I would just, oh, I'll start again on the 1st of the month, or I'll start again next year, or I'll start again on Monday. And this progress art was a way for me to, no, I'm not going to start on Monday. I'm going to catch it up today.
Let's do it.
It's going to be easy to catch up if I sort it today. And it's actually really interesting for me, because that routine and discipline of doing that also means that I actually do my money date with myself every week, because I'm excited to see what my week result is and how much I've got to distribute into my accounts. Yeah. And so even just the habit and getting over my resistance to goals and then getting over my resistance to tracking has now also embedded other amazing money management habits that have seen me be able to consistently invest since 2017. And I had set myself this goal to be an investor, like well before I started my business. And I'd never been able to save up enough money to actually have the 10,000 that you need to invest, And so it was actually like in 2017, I was like, well, I'm just going to do micro investing, because I don't want to wait till I have the 10,000. I'm going to micro invest. And then we got our investments to 6 figures by 2020, right? 3 years, 6 figures in investments. But all of that came from this desire to face the discomfort rather than avoid it, because I could see myself 20 years from now still not investing, still not looking after my money well, still not having overcome my mindset blocks around how much I can earn or how much I can keep. And I just knew that that discomfort would be far bigger and far more depressing, and I'd be far crankier with myself than the smaller, more short-term discomfort of facing those limiting beliefs and those actual like poor money management practices, which is what it also helped me to reveal. I then started working with a proper spending plan. We then started, as I said, we're dividing our money up more and being more consistent in those money management practices, not just money mindset, because I also from mentors know that the fastest way to stop money from coming in is to mistreat the money you have. And the fastest way to attract money in energetically is to prove to yourself you're a great custodian of the money that you have and the money that you get. And so there wasn't a lot of it, or I didn't quite have enough to do all the things I wanted to do that would make me feel like a great money custodian, but I had enough, a little seed, and I was going to be very, very diligent with what I had, because I knew that would energetically open me up to being ready to handle more.
Yes. And for me, money is always a toddler. And if you let it run rampant or wild or ignore it, it will show you what you're doing to it.
Yes. Yeah.
It'll be very clear that, oh, this is not working. Whatever we're doing here, it is not working. So I love the fact that you tracked with this progress art, and I got to be a part of seeing what you would do and what you would achieve and what everyone in the room achieved. And that's what I wanted to, as well as just thanking you so much, Tash, for being here. I wanted to let people know that in any way you can get into a room or an environment with Tash, what Tash is probably not best known for, but does, she creates galaxies of people. And so she has these amazing ability to connect people together. So for me, I walked into the Universe of Tash and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm a new single mum. What is happening? I don't know. And I went to a workshop on the anniversary of when my daughter's dad had left. And I went, I'm just going to go to Tash's workshop here in Brisbane. Why not? And my daughter was being babysat by her auntie. She loves it more than anything. Like those two just get along like a house on fire, but I still felt very sad. And then Tash goes, just sit here. And I went, okay. And I sat next to what seemed to be one of the coolest people in the room who definitely knew Tash very well. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And I went, hi. And she goes, hi, I'm Claire. And I'm like, of course you are. And she knew Tash really well. And then I am like in this circle of all these people, and all these people know people and they know each other and they know Tash and they're taking photos. And I'm like, I don't understand what's happening, but it feels fabulous. I don't understand, but it feels fabulous. And from that meeting, I met, through Tash, I have had Jodie Thornton as my parenting coach from the time my daughter was 2. I have had EFT sessions with Tammy. There's been Claire Kerslake, who I have just followed and loved for forever. I also did some chakra work with Bethany, and she was part of the circle too. I met Claire, and funnily enough, I was at a cafe at Moggle, and I went, she looks like that really cool lady from No. And I've got my 2-year-old and said, I'm just going to go over and say hello. And Kate's like, what if she doesn't like you? I went, I know, such a risk. So when I said hello to Claire, Claire and I met up. We've been friends for a long time. I went to one of her Lady Posse groups. Thanks again to Tash, one of the universe little galaxies she created. And I met Emily, who I now meet every month since meeting her there since 2018. So my galaxy just went bang.
Yeah.
And I tend to be a little bit of a comet too, and I'll go zoom, zoom, zoom. So that's me. I know I'm a comet through galaxies. But there are some people who I keep in my zone of, I guess, love and working and all those sorts of things. But you, Tash, you are the creator of these galaxies, and it's just awesome to be a part of and watch. And I'm just so glad and grateful that you're here to share what I always find just an amazing journey to hear about what you've done with Progress Art, but with your money and with your healing and with your whole journey. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. I will be sharing all of Tash's links everywhere I possibly can. And one of her freebies is to the Progress Art. And I think what I have here is your Resistant to Income Goals as the podcast too. So that will be available for everyone as well. If you get to be a part of Tash's universe, and you can find out which galaxy you either are attracted to or you create or whatever happens for you, it'll be fabulous. But Tash, I just want to say thank you so very, very much, because it's just, I love being part of your universe.
Oh, thank you so much, Roz. That's so sweet. And I do have this knack for being a connector. Like, it's one of my sacred money archetypes is connector. And I always seem to know someone when someone needs something specific. And that for me is also part of the joy of being a business owner and being in network with other business owners, is being able to refer people through. And we're all contributing to supporting people with specific goals and with what it is that they need. And the more that we support each other, the more that we all succeed. So yeah, I absolutely love your story. And I can confirm Claire Riley is always the coolest person in every room she ever enters.
Wasn't just me feeling completely like,
she's so cool. She makes me feel so uncool sometimes because I'm so daggy and I'm so kitsch, and she just seems to be on top of every trend and know how to do all the latest things, and I love it. But I love that she does it in a very unassuming, non-judgmental
cool
way. How do you balance those two things? I don't know, but she seems to do it brilliantly.
Yeah.
And I just really like, I also think, you know how I was saying, like, I'm so grateful for past Tash for like trying to face up to that discomfort. Like, think about it as well for you, right? Past Roz made the choice and took that leap to go to a workshop where you didn't know anyone, and look at what it has unfolded for you. And so, like, I think that that's a great thing to leave listeners with, is to say, like, sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels like it's a little out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it might be coming to conference, or it might be coming to one of the free coffee meetups, right? It might be going to that workshop where you don't know anyone, or even sometimes it's joining a group online and like virtually interacting with people. And, you know, it feels uncomfortable to talk about yourself, or it feels uncomfortable to go up to someone and say, will you be my friend? Or like, I think this stuff is really cool, but that is actually expanding capacity.
Yes.
And so, like, what felt like a huge leap for you back then, now you'd walk into any conference or workshop, you're happy to sit down next to someone because you understand what's possible and what might happen as a result. And it still might feel a little, you know, I still get a bit anxious going into events and sitting down with strangers. And I'm a raging extrovert, but I know in my heart and in my soul that it's going to be so expansive, and I'm going to learn something, or I'm going to meet someone. And I look for that golden opportunity rather than focusing on the discomfort.
Yes.
And I think that that's the secret to success in business, in money, in networking, in friendships, in relationships. I actually think it's that, like, learning to face up to a little bit of discomfort and looking for those golden opportunities to either have fun, connect, learn, make a mistake, right? Like, there's no such thing as a complete disaster that cannot be recovered from, or a wrong decision that can't be recovered from. Like, we just need to sometimes make a decision, take some action, and see what happens from there. And so,
I always say to people, sometimes you got to go through the dark, and that's okay. That's okay. It's not comfy, and it's not cool, but sometimes you got to, and you never know what is on the other side. It could be just a whole new galaxy, like what I met. So.
Thank you so much, Roz. This has been gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, Tash. It was just been wonderful, and this will all be out and live, and you will be able to access Tash all around wherever I share it.
Lovely.
I'll see you all soon. Bye. Today we had with us the fabulous Tash Corbin from Tash Corbin Coaching. She helps heart-centered entrepreneurs to build sustainable and profitable businesses online. If you would like the freebie to the progress art we discussed today, you can get that at tashcorbin.katra.com/page/free progress art. And my name was Roz. Thank you very much for being here. If you would like to get hold of any of my freebies or work with me for free, please go to roslynhiggins.com.au/free stuff. I'll speak to you next time. Bye.